There is something that no one talks about in the services and few have the courage to admit. The greatest spiritual attacks do not happen to those who are far from God, but to those who are dangerously close to Him. Strange, right? But it makes perfect sense when you understand the logic of the invisible world. Spirit demons do not concern themselves with disturbing those who are already distracted, they despair of those who can awaken others. And that completely changes the way you see your own pain. If you feel that life is at its hardest just as you try to draw closer to God, that's not bad luck, it's confirmation. God's chosen ones live a reality that few could endure: emotional pressure, invisible persecution, and a sequence of events that seem to want to silence you. But all this has a reason. And no, it's not punishment. It is because their existence carries a light that threatens the darkness. And hell reacts forcefully to any sign of awakening. Most people don't understand what they're facing because no one has taught them that spiritual warfare is real, and it happens, especially, to those who carry a spiritual calling. When you start tapping into your divine mission, it is as if a siren has gone off in the kingdom of darkness. The result? Targeted spiritual attacks, confusing situations, and a constant feeling of opposition. But that's also a clear sign you're on the right track. While the lost remain anesthetized, the chosen ones face the pain of those who have been seen. Because there is a price for carrying a divine frequency. But there is also a power, the power of the chosen. When you understand that your fight against evil is actually a medal of who is bothering the darkness, everything changes. Pain is no longer just pain, it becomes a strategy. And you stop running from the attack, to start counterattacking. If you have read this far and identified with this reality, comment on the word recognized. Because only those who carry heaven inside are recognized even by hell. There are people who don't even open their mouths, but when they enter an environment, everything changes. The air is heavy, the gazes turn, the restless are agitated. This is not because of appearance or charisma, it is the spiritual light they carry, an energy that troubles the unseen world. God's chosen ones do not go unnoticed in the spiritual realm. And the spiritual demons feel from afar this presence that threatens their domains. This light is the reflection of the spiritual call in action. And the closer one gets to his divine mission, the more intense that light becomes. It's not about talking nicely or quoting memorized verses, it's about carrying a divine frequency that disarms evil without having to raise your voice. The power of the chosen ones is in what they carry in their spirits, not in what they wear or display. And that light. That light, is the alarm that activates the invisible persecution. Many people think they are being attacked because of human envy, but spiritual envy is another story. It comes from the one who knows you're about to wreak havoc in hell. When your presence bothers you for no apparent reason, you can bet, it's not personal, it's spiritual. Spiritual attacks appear as barriers disguised as common problems. A pain that does not go away, a sudden confusion, doors that close without logic. If you wonder why it seems that you live in a constant struggle against evil, the answer may lie in your essence. It's not bad luck, it's not karma, and much less drama. It is because there is a glow in you that betrays the sky that you carry inside. This brightness cannot be bought, it is not learned, it is received. And when it lights up, the whole inferno goes into a state of alert. Those who understand this stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What do I carry that is being threatened?" This change in perspective transforms everything. Because those who understand the spiritual war they are waging, stop begging for peace on the battlefield and start positioning themselves as soldiers. And that's where the game changes, because if the enemy knows what you can do, you should know too. There are people who live such a strange peace, that it even scares. Nothing goes wrong, no one gets in the way, everything seems normal. But calm down. This is not always a sign of blessing. Sometimes, it's a sign that hell doesn't even bother anymore. Those who are far from the divine mission, spiritually asleep, do not represent any threat. Therefore, spirit attacks do not waste ammunition on those who have already left the game. It is curious how silent spiritual warfare is with those who have already surrendered without realizing it. The invisible persecution does not reach those who live anesthetized, deviated from the divine frequency. They have become landscape on the path of evil. And the devil does not chase landscape, he pursues threat. God's chosen ones, even without understanding it, are like torches lit in the middle of pitch black. And that bothers us. A clear example of this is that person who, when he decides to go back to church or starts praying more often, everything starts to go wrong. Coincidence? No. It's a reaction. Hell responds when a chosen one tries to get up. Those who are cool and don't even think about purpose are still forgotten. Because the enemy knows, the less noise, the better to maintain control. Spiritual inertia is the favorite terrain of darkness. This shows that the fight against evil is not random, it is selective. And the selection is based on potential for transformation. Whoever has an active spiritual calling, becomes a target. Those who don't have it, become a maneuvering mass. It sounds harsh, but it's real. Spiritual demons work with strategy. And attacking those who are already out of the mission is like trying to blow out an unlit candle, a waste of time. Therefore, if you feel that you are being pressured, tested, attacked from all sides, perhaps this is the biggest sign that you still carry something precious. An unfulfilled purpose, a divine mission dormant, an impact that can still happen. And the enemy knows this before you even admit it. But what if the attacks aren't on you, but about what you can do for others? It's easy to think that spiritual attacks are something personal, as if evil has some direct feud with you. But the truth is that the enemy is not concerned with your routine, your name or CPF. The real target is the impact your life can make. God's chosen ones carry a silent influence, and it is this influence that spiritual demons want to silence. The plan was never to hurt you. He went to silence the echo of his voice. Think of a teacher who transforms the student's worldview, or a friend who ignites faith where there was only disappointment. These are the kind of people that hell wants to neutralize. Because every life touched is a crack in the structures of evil. The divine mission of a chosen one does not end with him, it multiplies. Therefore, spiritual warfare does not aim to take you out of the game just out of spite, but to prevent more pieces from moving with you. You know that day when everything falls apart right before you make a big decision. Or when unexpected problems arise right at the time of a new beginning. This is no coincidence, it's strategy. The invisible persecution appears as obstacles, doubts, distractions. Because, if evil knocks you down, it knocks down with it the fruits that you haven't even seen germinate yet. It's a domino attack. That's why, sometimes, it seems like your fight doesn't make sense. It's because you're being attacked by something that hasn't even happened yet. Your spiritual call is like a ticking time bomb on purpose, and hell hears the ticking. War is about influence, legacy, transformation. You're just the channel, but what goes out through that channel can liberate a lot of people. Then, when the blow comes, remember, it's not about you, it's about what you carry. The enemy fears the impact your life can have when you are aligned with the divine frequency. And that's why he tries so hard to shut you up now, before it's too late for him. You may not even have a clue who you really are. But hell already knows. From an early age, God's chosen ones carry an invisible mark, and it attracts spiritual attacks before they even understand why. That's why so many face spiritual trauma as early as childhood, unexplained losses, abandonments that seem random. None of this is for nothing. It is an early attempt to abort your spiritual calling before it flourishes. It's not about what you've already done, it's about what you can still do. The enemy operates in the field of possibilities. He anticipates, tries to prevent you from discovering the power of the chosen ones. Because if you connect to your divine mission, you will cause earthquakes where today there is silence. And he knows it. That's why spiritual wars start even before you learn to defend yourself. People who from a young age feel that they don't belong, who have a different sensitivity, intense dreams, a sharp intuition, are not traveling. They are noticing spiritual signs of a battle that has been going on for years. If you've always felt different, maybe that's not a defect. Maybe it's design. The unseen world knows who you can become when you're awake. Look at the areas where you suffered the most. Often, they are the keys to his ministry. A chosen one who has overcome rejection will heal other rejected ones. Whoever has overcome vices will free others. And that's what the enemy tries to prevent, that your pain becomes medicine for the crowds. The attacks were not random, they were calculated. Because his future was already a threat. And if even hell recognizes who you can become, isn't it time for you to recognize it too? Perhaps what you need is not more strength, but understanding. Because when a chosen one understands the reason for the attacks, he begins to understand the size of the mission that awaits him, and that changes everything. There are days when everything seems heavy for no reason. The body hurts, the mind freezes, and the soul drags. Most call this a stressful routine, but those who have deep spirituality know, it is often spiritual warfare disguised as boredom. God's chosen ones live under constant, yet invisible, spiritual attacks. It's not drama, it's discernment. And those who don't realize it, end up treating the spiritual as if it were only physical. It's that tiredness that doesn't go away with sleepiness. That irritation that appears out of nowhere. Recurrent diseases that the doctor does not explain. Negative thoughts that come in bursts. All of this may be the divine frequency being sabotaged by spiritual demons acting in the silence of everyday life. Does it seem exaggerated? Well, know that evil operates precisely where no one suspects. And the more inattentive, the more vulnerable. That is why it is so important to create simple but consistent spiritual practices. A daily devotional, a sincere prayer before bed, declaring words of life when you wake up. These are habits that shield. Small gestures with big impacts. They attune the spirit, awaken discernment, and align the chosen one with his divine mission. What seems silly is often armor against invisible persecution. Spiritual warfare does not send an invitation. It hides in the details, a message that discourages, a friend who turns his back, a feeling of stagnation. All very subtle, but extremely effective to try to keep someone away from their spiritual calling. And that's where the danger lies, when you think it's just a bad day, but it's the enemy trying to destabilize your path. Recognizing this war is the first step to winning it. Those who see beyond the natural, begin to live differently. The choice is between surviving the day or mastering the spiritual environment around you. And if this battle is going on without you even noticing, imagine what might be about to happen when you decide to fight for real. Hell's most feared decision is not when someone says no to sin, but when they say yes to the spiritual call. This one changes everything. It is an earthquake in the invisible dimension. Spiritual demons tremble when a chosen one finally decides to live up to the divine mission he carries. Because from there is no turning back, there is purpose. And this is more dangerous than any preaching or ritual. Have you ever noticed how everything goes wrong when you decide to align yourself spiritually? Spiritual attacks, unforeseen events, delays, doubts come. This is not a coincidence, it is an answer. It is the fear of darkness manifesting. Because your yes connects you to the divine frequency, activates gifts that were dormant, and break silent chains that imprisoned others around you. It's more than a personal choice, it is a collective trigger. That, yes, can be simple: go back to praying, get involved in a mission, resume a forgotten purpose. It doesn't have to be something grandiose. But it is precisely this simplicity that scares the enemy. Because he knows that small acts of obedience generate great spiritual reactions. God's chosen ones don't need to shout to make noise in heaven. Just obey. And when that happens, hell organizes itself to try to stop it. It is as if a spiritual siren went off. You take a stand, and the attacks intensify. But calm down, this is not a sign that you are wrong. It's the opposite. When darkness rises, it is because its light is being turned on. Whoever is aligned with heaven does not go unnoticed on earth. And much less in the kingdom of darkness. Your yes is like a password that unlocks a new stage, and with it, new challenges. So, if you said yes and felt the weight increase, no, you messed with what you didn't want to be bothered with. And that's a good thing. A sign that you are going in the right direction. Because only those who are moving bother those who live to stagnate. But what if this weight is just the first test of what's to come? Not all tiredness is lack of sleep, nor is all confusion mental. Sometimes, they are spiritual signs trying to warn you. God's chosen ones usually carry the effects of spiritual warfare in body and soul, even without understanding it. Confused dreams, a feeling of heaviness, repeated losses, sudden isolation, they are invisible codes that there is something happening beyond the natural. And ignoring this is like covering your eyes in the middle of a fire. The invisible chase does not come with an instruction manual. It camouflages itself in details, the call that never comes, the project that crashes for no reason, the feeling that something is wrong even when everything seems right. Spiritual demons operate in the gaps, and where there is no discernment, there is wear and tear. The chosen one who does not recognize these signs lives stumbling in the dark, thinking that he is in a bad phase. That is why it is essential to learn to interpret the environment. A prayer that stops, a sudden sadness without cause, a fight that comes out of nowhere. All of this can be a sign that there is a battle going on all around. Instead of panicking, enter into communion. Pray more, fast if possible, seek alignment with the divine frequency. Because whoever understands the sign is already halfway to overcoming it. Practical example: if you dream about falls, chases or dark places often, maybe it's not just your tired brain, it could be a spiritual alert. In these moments, it is valid to write down dreams, ask for discernment and reinforce your spiritual covering. God's chosen ones are persecuted because they carry a divine mission, and the enemy wants to prevent them from being sent even before departure. So the next time everything feels awkward and heavy, don't run to Google, run to God. Deep spirituality is not about understanding everything, but about recognizing the right signs. And if you're being attacked so much, maybe it's because you're much closer to something great than you realize. There are people who still don't understand that being attacked is not a curse, it's a sign of mission. The greatest confirmation that someone is on the right path is when hell decides to manifest itself. It is paradoxical, but real: the more aligned it is with the divine mission, the greater the invisible persecution. God's chosen ones are not ignored in the spiritual world. They are tracked, surveilled, fought. Because they are too dangerous to ignore. Have you ever noticed that the more you pray, the more things go wrong? The more you sanctify yourself, the more opposition appears. That's that. This is not punishment, it is recognition. Spiritual demons do not invest effort in those who do not threaten their plans. The fight against evil is a continual proof that you are headed in the right direction. The problem was never that you got it wrong, it was that you tried to get it right again. The spiritual traumas, the inexplicable losses, the deep tiredness. All of this can be a sign that you are moving forward. And when hell stirs, it is because heaven is approaching. Make no mistake, the calm of those who are far from God is only the peace of prison. The attacks against the chosen ones show that there is movement, there is purpose, there is light. Those who are in darkness are not persecuted, they are already imprisoned. Want an example? That moment when everything seemed perfect and suddenly everything came crashing down. That friendship that cooled down out of nowhere. The door that closed in his face. In many cases, it's not bad luck. It's evil trying to keep you from seeing what God was about to reveal to you. The divine mission is usually preceded by a storm. Because the enemy always tries to stop the flight before takeoff. So the next time you feel like everything is turning against you, take a deep breath. And remember, maybe it's just hell trying to prevent you from entering territory that it has already lost. That's it. That's an excellent sign of where you're headed. It's time to stop seeing your problems as simple, bad phases. From now on, ask yourself, what is it in me that is being fought with such intensity? Do you have any idea how big the light you carry? Of the destinies that can be transformed through your obedience? The invisible persecution you face can be the greatest proof that you are exactly where you are supposed to be. So what are you going to do with that knowledge? Will he continue to see himself as a victim? Or will you position yourself as the spiritual warrior you were born to be? The divine mission is not comfortable, but it is glorious. And if spiritual demons are so afraid of your yes, why do you insist on hesitating? Each new day is a chance to sharpen your spiritual sword and move forward. Reflect, what attacks have you faced repeatedly? What spiritual signs have appeared frequently? And most importantly, what have you done in the face of this? Ignoring is easy, but taking action is liberating. Don't wait for things to get better before you take action. Take action and watch things start to get better. If this content opened your eyes, encouraged you or made you rethink your journey, comment here, I'm ready to fight. Because this is the first step of those who decide not only to survive, but to win the spiritual war with conscience, power and faith. And of course, if this topic moved you, subscribe to the channel, activate notifications and stay with us. There is a lot that still needs to be revealed. And you won't want to miss it.